First order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, on to the roll call of members. I see Member Taylor's here and Member Stoner's here, so we're all present. With that, we would move on to the approval of the minutes. Would entertain a motion. We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, on to department head reports. First up will be the police department. Chief?
Good evening, everybody. You have to forgive me, I'm losing my voice from teaching the class today. There was a lot of yelling and screaming in the class, and we'll get to that. During the period between 6/27 of 2016 and today's date, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 824 calls for service. A total of 30 citizens were arrested for the following crimes. We have 5 for battery, 2 for drugs, 5 for alcohol offenses, 3 for driving offenses, 1 for criminal recklessness, 1 for invasion of privacy, and my officers served 13 warrants. A total of 13 handgun permits were issued by our office. I'm happy to report there were no major incidents during the 4th of July holiday. The parade and park activities went smoothly for law enforcement. We're still receiving some fireworks complaints at nights. This is common until everyone shoots up their supply. We're going to have to deal with it. I ask that the citizens be patient. These occurrences will start getting less and less as we get farther from the 4th. On July 8th, we had a swearing in and award ceremony at LPD. Officer Clark Letcher was sworn in by Mayor Gentry. Officers Spencer, Knox, Houston, Hampshire, Scott, and Kuntz all received life-saving commendation bars for recent saves. And Officer Josh Walker was recognized for his recent graduation from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Today is the first day for Officer Carlson, Nolan, and Letcher at the Academy. For the next 15 weeks, they'll be attending the basic course at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. The basic course is the basic training for Indiana law enforcement officers. They're going to spend the next 15 weeks studying, marching, shooting, driving, fighting, and lots of push-ups. If any veterans are in the audience and gone through basic training, well, this is about the same. It's not a pleasant, and not everyone graduates, but we have the utmost confidence they'll do great at the Academy. Major Brad Bailey is currently in Anaheim, California at a DARE and School Resource Officer Conference. He'll be returning at the end of this week. And today's date, the 11th, myself and Officer Austin Scott and Officer Ryan Williamson taught approximately 40 children anti-abduction technique. This class turned out to be, it was great. We had very good participation from the kids. There was a lot of yelling and screaming. And it's basically to teach children that they too can fight off an abduction, or at least slow it down and draw enough attention to themselves to get help. The kids were outstanding in it. This class is filled up within 3 hours when we announced it on Facebook. And we're listening to the citizens. They want more of this class, so we're going to put on some evening classes coming up to make it easier for parents at work. And we're also going to put a Saturday class on. Also, later on in the fall, we'll be putting a women's self-defense course on. And like we tell people, we're not in the business of making money. This is a part of protecting and servicing. This is our duty. So all these classes that the Lebanon Police Department put on for the community is always going to be free, and we always encourage the citizens to attend. Thank you.
And the best place to find out information on those classes is on the Facebook?
It will be on our Facebook page. That is about the best place to find it. And then once we get some established dates, we'll also let the Lebanon Reporter know to get the word out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, on to the fire department. I believe we have Chief Beard with us tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Works. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire Department has made 96 emergency calls of service, logged 30 training hours, performed 11 commercial inspections, and installed 1 car seat. This past July 1st, we responded to a residence fire at 1422 Rovine Drive at approximately 1:13 in the a.m. The family that lived there all got out safely. Unfortunately, 2 of the family pets succumbed to smoke, the dogs. We'd like to thank LPD, Boone County EMS, Zionsville Fire Department, Whitestown Fire Department, and Center Township Fire Department for their assistance. The fire scene went very smoothly and professionally. The fire department was very active during the 4th of July festivities and activities, and as Chief Mormon said, we had no major incidents. Everything went really smooth. On the Lebanon's Fire Lady Auxiliary hosted their annual barbecue fundraiser on the 1st, which seemed to be a success thanks to all who helped and came to support it. Lieutenant Lanny Mitchell applied for and recently got a $1,000 grant for our car seat program. Lieutenant Mitchell goes above and beyond for this program. After 6 years of heavy involvement with District 5 statewide training network, Lebanon Fire Department has received a $50,000 grant. This comes with the deal that our training tower site will be one of only 10 certified sites in the state of Indiana. Chief Wiry had a visit last week with Chief John Buckman, the state's training chief, who had received the news from the Department of Homeland Security Director. We also just received 2 training props from District 5 as well. One is a forcible entry tool and the other is a ventilation prop. The men will be training on that this month. Chief Batts told you guys at the last Board of Works meeting about Nick Dunn and his family going on a mission trip. Just pass it on, they are there all safely and doing good work. Lastly, our Boone County Cancer Society t-shirt fundraiser is going strong. And for all those who've been wanting to get shirts, we have resupplied our shirt supply. They're $11, could be purchased at Station 11 as well as the Cutting Edge at 115 East Main Street. And all that money obviously goes to a good cause. That's it.
Chief, any questions for the board? No. Okay. And congratulations on that grant for the training tower. That's it's great news.
Yeah, that's a lot of smoozing. Not me, Chief Wiry does a lot of work for that. So, but yeah, that's a big chunk of money.
Very good. I know that's a great asset for us and
Yeah.
great training opportunity for you guys too.
That's really something to be proud of. One of 10 sites in the whole state of Indiana, and we've had one FDIC's here, people from all over the country training here. So we're kind of getting, well known, which kind of is nice.
Very good. All right. Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank
Thanks.
you, Chief. Thank you. On to the parks. John Messenger.
I gotta say, Mike, you missed it. Your opportunity to dog the police department there a bit. Anything goes. The fire department beat the police department. I think I saw you in a hat there, with the little sign, didn't I? Yeah, okay. Anyway, we had a great 4th of July. Thanks to all the departments. Really, it was a smooth 4th of July this year. The Parks Department obviously strained for about a month. We got past it. It worked really well. People were very respectful the day after or the day of, picking up their spots. We had quite a few volunteers out. Couldn't do it with all the departments. The street department just goes all out. All those guys come over and help us out. But all the departments, we step up police patrols. It was very, very calm. I think you'll admit to that, won't it? It was just great. The carnival shut down most nights, half hour, 45 minutes earlier than normal. And they still did well, so we'll have fireworks next year. Some of that money goes back into the 4th of July for our fireworks. But I want to thank everybody for being so respectful to the parks and all the departments. We had this last Saturday night, the rains held off, and we had mental health, or it was Friday night. Mental health came out, did their movie in the park, had a good turnout. We have one more movie left, August 5th at Memorial Park at the baseball diamond. So please try and get out there and attend and help mental health out. That's always a good event. They are really trying to reach out there. We also got done the last month. Jennifer Rice had a grant money, and we fed the children, or a Feed the Children program. It went all the month of July. Had quite a good turnout daily on that. Was not run on the weekends. There are other places to get free lunches now also, because that's run out, that grant money's run out. Got to thank Jennifer Rice and her crew coming out there every day. It's really important. There's a lot of kids out there that are hungry, and we don't think about it. We're pretty blessed and fortunate. But I can't thank Jennifer again enough for taking care of it. It was run at Abner Longley. I don't know how many times I was down there on a Friday seeing the kids, or Wednesday, Tuesday, kids coming up there saying, where's the free lunches? And it's something neat. I know there's several groups out there that give you sack lunches now daily. Call the Parks Department. We'll help you out. We'll get in touch with those those groups and see that you get fed. The water park's just outstanding. Obviously, with the temperatures holding up like this, we're busting all our records from last year, which were incredible. Quite a few different groups from all the different communities around us that don't have our facilities are renting the pool, let alone they're getting pool passes. We're just real fortunate to have all that. Our swim lessons started today, so they're going on as we speak. We had such a good turnout in June, and they're getting a great turnout in July. Can't ask enough. We also last June 29th, the park board passed a resolution in all the parks, so they will be banned from smoking. We're getting up signage, and as soon as that signage is up, hopefully we'll make sure that everybody's not smoking in the parks anymore. We had quite a few people that attended the meeting of the 29th and didn't have any opposition at that time. Had probably 15 people that spoke, 10 to 15, all in favor of it, and it was a tough decision. Parks Board's been looking at that and trying to get input for pretty much a year, and it's a start. It's a resolution to ban smoking, and that's all I had.
Okay. Any questions for John? Questions from the public?
Yes.
Yep. Just go ahead and step to the microphone, and then you can ask.
Linda Studerville. I just wanted to bring this to John's attention. In front of the bandstand, we have that monument there for Joe Hawbush.
Memorial.
People are using that for a step.
I know it.
We need to
frustrates me.
do something about that because it's starting to get defaced and the writing's starting to come off. But I noticed so many people this year were
I
stepping
know.
on that.
I even put bushes there. Did you see
yeah.
the bushes?
They're using that for a step to go up and down, and it's starting to. His name is starting to
I
come
agree.
off.
And Joe was a good, and
yeah,
Doyle both
right.
were good friends.
So if we
I-
can do something about that, that'd be great.
You
So,
got it.
Thank you,
got it.
John.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you, Linda. I'm sure you're looking into that, John.
Yes, I sure will.
All right,
Yeah.
good deal. Anything else?
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. On to Planning Department, Derek Warren.
Good evening, Board. Bear with me. This is a little bit lengthy. I want to update you on the Board of Works activity on July 5th. We had a full docket. I'll go through them rather quickly, but I think it's important to talk about what was in front of them. The first one on the docket was docket number 16-12, which was Murphy Oil USA. This was the second time they've been in front of the board for a development plan to be located at 2472 North Lebanon Street, also known as the Dog and Suds for most of us. They received 4 variances back in the May Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, and they've been working on the 5th one, trying to come up with a solution, which was a proposed eastern roadway cut. So it would have been a second curb cut into that site. The Board of Zoning Appeals felt like it would create a stacking issue. Regency also weighed in on it and asked the board to consider the stacking issue, and that variance request was denied on a unanimous vote, 5-0. So they have since contacted us, and we're working through some other ideas to get their plan eventually approved. Docket number 16-14 was the Boone County Head Start. They were requesting a conditional use to allow a day nursery located at the Lebanon Bible Baptist Church, located at 1530 Riley Road. The reason they had to ask for a conditional use is because that property is actually zoned single-family 2. Back in 2008, when the city went through a rezoning process, that church just happened to be in a neighborhood, and spot zoning is typically not done, so it was brought in as a single-family 2 zoning classification. That conditional use was approved on a unanimous vote, 5-0. Docket number 16-13 was Gloria Smith and John Knox. They were requesting a variance for an accessory structure to exceed a footprint greater than 50% of the primary square footage of their primary structure. The proposed detached garage measured 1,462 square feet, and by the ordinance, they were only allowed 532 square feet. The application was continued by the request of the BZA, and they asked the applicant to shrink the structure if possible, and he agreed to that, so they'll be back at the next Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Docket number 16-17 is Champion Gymnastics Studio located at 513 West Main Street. This is the old Moose Lodge. There is a gymnastics studio that is preparing to open in there, and it's going to be a nice improvement for that building. But because of some site restrictions, they had a few variances that they needed to request. One was for interior and exterior parking landscape. They were doing some landscaping, but they couldn't meet it all, so they had to ask for a variance for 2 of the 3 sides, not to have any landscaping. So they will be landscaping on the east side of the parking lot. They were requesting a variance for parking spaces required. There was 20 required for that type of use, and they could only provide 15, so they are providing a fair amount. And also the exterior building plantings, there's landscaping that's required in the front, the back, the sides, and because of, again, the site restrictions, they were only able to put landscaping on which would be the north side. So they are meeting the intent of the ordinance, and with that, the board did approve the variance request. One member abstained, so it was a 4-0 vote. The second to last docket was number 16-18, Ryan and Amanda St. Julian. This was a little unique, so to speak. A lot of people don't understand this type of variance, but they were requesting to install a 6-foot privacy fence in what was considered a front yard of the property, because the property is actually on a corner lot. And when somebody owns a property on a corner lot, you're actually legally considered to have 2 front yards because of the street frontage. So they wanted to put a 6-foot privacy fence that extended past the building line towards Ann Street, which would be in the corner of that property, which East Washington and Ann Street. They explained why they needed that. And Ann Street's not a heavily traveled road, and with that, they're not blocking any views of anybody. That's typically why fences aren't allowed in that scenario. But because of where it is and the streets, the application was approved on a 5-0 vote. The important one to talk about here is the last one, docket number 16-19, Eric Moringer. He was requesting a use variance to allow raising and housing of chickens at his property, which is zoned single family 3. The room was filled with chicken supporters that spoke in favor of allowing chickens. Councilperson Coots was at the meeting, and he spoke and said that the council was considering revising the ordinance to allow chickens. And with that, the application was tabled to allow council time to work through the discussion about raising farm fowl in the city limits. And I want to make it very clear on this one, and I did it in the meeting as well, that the Planning and Zoning Department is not out patrolling necessarily for chickens. This is a complaint-driven action. There was a neighbor that did not appreciate the chickens, did not appreciate the smell. Apparently there was a rooster involved at one point. So when we get these type of complaints, we do have to deal with it, because the ordinance reads that currently farm fowl is not allowed to be raised inside city limits unless you live in a very specific zoning classification, which is basically what I refer to as still the newly annexed area, the 65 corridor. So with that, we will see what happens with the chickens. I guess that's up for the council to decide, so that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Derek. Questions for Derek from the board? Questions from the public? Yes.
A gas station is, yep, Murphy's Oil, Murphy's Express, sorry. Uh-huh.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Derek. On to the street department, Larry?
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Works. Again, I'd like to take a little time to thank all the departments working together for the July 4th. If it wasn't for everybody working together, I don't think we could have as good a July 4th we did. I do appreciate working with each and every one of the department heads. Street Department has continued to do some patch work, and then also we are starting with some filling some holes in some alleyways that people have called in. Street Department continues to work on our easements, cleaning up and cutting easements. I know we haven't had a lot of rain, but the easements are really overgrown pretty good. We've worked on Perryworth Road and also Indianapolis Road and getting the entries coming into the city pretty clean. The Lebanon Street Department sign crew has been working. We started replacing some fading signs and some damaged signs. We've noticed some graffiti on some signs over the weekend, so we're trying to get those down and clean those up. If anybody has any signs that's got anything written on them, please give us a call at the Street Department, 482-8870. We'll try to take care of that as soon as possible. Also, for the next 2 weeks, 11th Street Department, along with our asphalt contractor and concrete contractor, will be working on one of the oldest subdivisions here in Lebanon, and it's Prairie Heights. We're going to be doing some concrete work, some curb work, and then redoing some streets there.
Okay.
And then also we had a request, I'd like to mention it to Linda Snewville, and she asked me about a month ago about a guardrail there on West Main Street. It is pretty dangerous there by Ice Cream Paradise. We have gotten a line location called in for that, but it's a culvert that goes across the road and it's pretty dangerous, so we're trying to work on that and get that taken care of. It's going to take a little time to build that, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
Thank you, Larry. Any
you.
questions from the board? No. Questions from the public? Okay. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
All right, there's no communications report tonight. With that, we'll move on to old business. Is there any old business to come before the board? Okay. With that, on to new business. The first item A, Title VI contract, that has been delayed when we had to put out the agenda. We actually ended up not being finalized. So Derek, you get another week reprieve on that one. And then, so next up will be the Periwinkle Street closure. I was contacted by Periwinkle's Candy, which is a candy store down on Washington Street, just off the square. They're looking to host a festival, a soda festival, I believe. Actually, is there anyone from Periwinkle? Oh, yeah, you want to come forward and maybe you can explain it better than I can and what exactly you're requesting.
Sure, okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board. Well, Periwinkle's has been in business now going on its 8th month, and we wanted to throw like a grand opening celebration. So what I had in mind is getting together and making a little mini soda festival where people could come and taste many different sodas, probably up to 60. And of course, along with that, I'd like to have more of a festival type atmosphere right in downtown Lebanon. And to facilitate that in a nice way, I'd like to close a street or two. It would be the street right in front of my shop, which is 100 East Washington, and then go around the corner where the churches are and around the Reporter, and probably throw a little mini car show there. So you have a full event to bring people out to the neighborhood.
Okay. And then what is the date for the event you're talking about?
It's August 6th, and then we're looking at the time, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So I guess when we talked last time, you hadn't mentioned the other street closure. We just talked about Washington Street. So you're talking about East Street as well from Washington to
That is
Main?
correct.
Okay. And have you talked with I know you're kind of the only business on the Washington Street other than the library, but they have access through the other lots. I mean, have you talked with the other residents on
On East Street?
Yeah, on East Street?
I did not.
Okay. Okay.
I know there's a couple apartment buildings there, then in the Reporter and churches.
Uh-huh. Do you think that's critical for your event, or is,
No,
is the main part just the Washington?
I just wanted the event to be as successful as possible and
Okay.
enjoyable for the families. So we thought about adding a mini car show after the original request. So I'd be willing to scratch that part of it.
Okay. I think it's great. I mean, maybe next year. Is that okay? If we hold you off 1 year on that, hopefully it's a great event and we'll have you do it again. Does that work?
You mean on the whole street closure? The
Yeah,
whole event?
for the car show, maybe if we add that, if you want to do it
Gotcha.
again, do it for
Yes,
next.
sure.
Is that okay?
Sure,
All right.
that's okay.
All right, so with that, we're talking about, so just from Meridian to East
East,
Street on
right.
Washington, closing that down. Is there any,
August the 6th from 11 to 7. What's August the 6th between 7? Is that a Friday, Saturday, or what day?
It's a Saturday.
Saturday.
all right, is there any further discussion from the board? Any discussion or questions or comments from the public? Okay, with that, I don't see any reason not to close down that one block. I mean, the library still has access, the reporter's not working.
Right?
So with that, would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion when you go ahead with the street closure on Washington Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second street closure.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Looking forward to your event on the 6th.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, sir.
You'll enjoy it.
Okay, we have another street closure. This one, request is coming from the Heart of Lebanon, also I believe for August. Casey, are you the one that's going to present the time? Okay. Thank you very much. And Casey, if you could kind of lay out what the plans are for the whole event and kind of why the street closure is needed.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Board of Works. Thanks for letting us speak tonight. We are going to be asking for a road closure on Washington from Lebanon Street to Meridian Street. The Heart of Lebanon is going to be hosting our first annual inaugural Oktoberfest. Play on words there. The date is August 20th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. We have German items, authentic beer, authentic music, and food. We're featuring craft beers from People's Brewery Company and Noble Order, which Noble Order is a Zionsville. They have I don't know if they're actually based in Zionsville. They're based in Zionsville? Anyways, they've got a restaurant there in Zionsville, and there's a couple restaurants that are now serving Noble Order beer. We also have music from Indie Polka Motion, which is one of the Midwest's most popular polka bands. Delicious food offerings. We've got brats and spicy mustard, German-style pretzels, which are going to be done hopefully by Titus Donuts here in Lebanon. Sauerkraut balls, strudel, and more. On the sheet here, the red number 1 is where the proposed stage will be. Number 2 is where we're going to be checking IDs and entrance. This is a 21 and older event, so this is something for the adults to have a fun night out. Number 3 will be where the bathrooms are. We're utilizing our portalettes, so we're not going to be asking for any permission to use any outside restrooms, or inside restrooms, I apologize. Number 4 is where the food is tentatively going to be sold. It may move a little bit. We're going to have the tables down the center of Washington Street, so people can sit and enjoy the music. And then the beers, we're kind of trying to figure where that's going to go right now. But this is going to be a good community event to get local businesses involved. We've got the distillery will be serving food along with St. Adrian's Meats. We've got local participants coming in. Indiana on Tap is sponsoring or helping us sponsor this event. They cut us a really good deal on marketing, so we're trying to bring a lot of people from out of town, which is important to help our downtown and community grow and prosper. So.
And you said this is so 21 and over, so it's not, so checking IDs at the door, no one's.
Right, yeah, so anybody that comes in will, to the yellow barricaded area, and it'll be completely blocked off, so no one will be able to access that. We'll put the barricades or snow fencing, anything we have, actually on the street on the south side of Washington, so the sidewalk will still be open, but no one will be able to enter and step foot onto the street.
And what's the time frame for
Oh, I'm
this?
sorry. It's from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we are requesting from 2 p.m. to 12 a.m. The 12 a.m. Just because of tables and the stage, there could be some lengthy time, but we could be out of there as early as 11 p.m. And the same reason why we have to have a few hours setting up.
Okay.
And this is a Saturday.
You said Saturday, August 20th, you said?
Yes.
Hence the Oktoberfest?
Oktoberfest, yes.
How are you going to police people not underage, under 21, not coming in there?
So where the number 2 is, will be the only entrance
Okay.
and exit. And to come in, you will obviously have to show ID, and then we will put a bracelet on there. We're also going to offer designated drivers free admission to the event. So it's going to cost, actually, if you go on to LebanonOktoberfest.com, you can pre-sale your tickets for $5 or it's $10 at the gate. And once you purchase that ticket, you'll get an armband, but our designated drivers get it free admission. And so then that ID band will be checked when you go to serve the beer. So you will still have to have that band, so we're actually checking twice.
And so you need a portion of the alley closed as well too for the,
Yes, we don't need the entire alley. In speaking with the Portalette Company, we're going to try to keep them pretty close to Washington Street. So really where the top of the number 3 is will probably be about it. But we would most likely close that entire alley so traffic didn't come through.
but if we just close the half of it, that would be
Right.
enough to, okay. So alley closure as well. Okay. Any questions from the board? Questions or comments from the public?
And just another to put people a little bit at ease, we do carry insurance and separate insurance for these types of events that are specifically alcohol-related events. So we are covered and liability is off from the city.
And this is one of your, I mean, you don't usually do 21 or over events, correct?
No, and in fact, this is the first one we've ever done, and to my knowledge, and I've only been here for 25 years, so I don't know if anybody else can remember, but I don't remember of an event that was 21 and older outside on a public street like this. So this is something new that we're doing. Giving something, our millennials is what people like to call us, something to do on a Saturday night.
Well, I was just down in Cincinnati at the beer garden at Hoffer House, and it was a lot of fun, so.
Yeah.
I can see the draw here, so.
I'd like to ask,
Yeah.
Chief, what's your thoughts on this?
I kind of agree with Corey. I think this is a great thing to bring downtown. It brings the millennials. It does keep them in our community and something to do. We want to attract these people to come here, have a good time, and stay. As far as, you know, I understand your concern of possible underage drinking. Just top of my head, I'm going to have 2 officers just assigned to that street alone. And we will look for underage drinkers, and if we find them, trust me, they won't be there for long. But I think it's a great idea. I myself am looking forward to it.
Any concerns from a security standpoint or anything like that?
No, I'm kind of curious to what you're going to, you're going to barricade it off. How are you going to barricade it? Is this fencing? What is this?
Well, there's 2 options that we're going to try to utilize. One you may see later this evening, but there are plastic barricades, safety barricades that we're hoping to utilize from the city. And if not, when we did the Mel Kenyon Classic, we have access to a plentiful amount of orange snow fencing, and so we can completely surround it. And in talking with Indiana State Excise Police, that is sufficient enough to have a barricade.
And will everyone within that have a bracelet then?
Yes, everybody, regardless if you're drinking or not, will have some type of ID. One it's just going to be a solid color for our drinkers, and then the other one will be a separate color. Probably, I think it was orange or,
Well, don't give it away, so.
well, it's a solid color. So we're going to turn it to pink now, I guess. But
I think that covers the bases. Even that's something that my officers can easily recognize if the person belongs there or doesn't belong. So I don't think policing it really is going to be too much of an issue.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
And Chief Bear just reminded me, we will have the stage inspected to make sure that we're renting the stage from LP Productions, and we were going to utilize that same stage with the Mel Kenyon Classic. But we'll work with the fire department to make sure that's staged and we have good means of egress and egress out of there.
Okay. All right, with that, is there any other comments from the public? Yes.
Hi, I'm Bill Studeville, and after the last week's events in Dallas, there's something I'd like to say. I know if I see a military personnel or a veteran, I've always thanked them for their service. But I think we need to take the time as a community to thank our police, our firefighters, our EMTs, and not only them, but their families for the sacrifices they make. And there was really a good article on TV this week by one of the wives of one of the policemen that was killed. And she said, my daughter will not have it daddy to walk her down the aisle, and my son will not have his best friend to play baseball and football with. I think we need to take the time as a community to let them know that we appreciate what they do and we're thankful for their sacrifices.
Totally agree, Bill. Thank you. Any other questions, comments concerning Oktoberfest? Okay, with that, would entertain a motion unless we have any other concerns we answered?
I make a motion, we go with the street closure request.
Okay, we have motion to close the street. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Looking forward to August 20th. Thank you,
All right,
Casey.
thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to the claims.
I move that we approve the claims.
We have motion to approve the claims. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. We would now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor? All right, we are adjourned. The city council meeting will begin shortly. Thank you.